What's going on, everybody? And welcome to the D-constructingTopics podcast. My name is David. Good day, folks. My name is David, and I'm your legendary host of this legendary podcast, the D-constructingTopics podcast. Let's get it. What's going on, my fellow peeps, my beautiful family, the D-constructingTopics podcast family? What's going on out there? A much warm welcome to all of you that are listening to this beautiful podcast. Today we got an interesting, good episode. Put on your philosophy hat on and get a big pot, a caldero in Spanish. Get a big pot. We're gonna throw a lot of ingredients out here in this podcast, in this episode, because we are talking about an interesting philosophy, and it's called Predeterminism. Whoa, yes. A big one. We got an interesting one. And the reason why I want people to kind of imagine that, for those people that love to cook or those people that love to eat, have you ever bought or have you in your life like this stew that has all the ingredients in Puerto Rico, in my beautiful island? We got a couple of stews there: beef stew, chicken stew, codfish stew, whatever stew. And when we do a stew, we throw yuca, llame, yautía, whatever meats. If you don't eat meat, you want to throw whatever veggies that's out there, corn on the cob, all that. So I want you to imagine, as you are listening to this episode, because there's going to be a lot of ingredients, a lot of moving parts, is that whatever good warm stew that you like, if you like frozen stew, hey, by all means, whatever tickles your bones, you know what I mean? I'm just saying we got a lot of ingredients, and I want people to kind of grab something that you like, things in your life that you just want to throw in that little pot that you want to stir up and make that little stew, because we're talking about predeterminism. And you already know, hit that like button, feel free to comment. There's been people out there that have reached out to me via email, because keep in mind that my podcast is across every podcast platform: Apple, Spotify. We on the YouTube, we on this, we on that. There's people that reach out to me by email, a little shy on the comments, and, they reach out to me and, hey, listen, feel free to comment. I love that. That makes me happy. We could engage and open a little platform, and we're going to get started with what is predetermination means. And for those people out there, because, I said we're going to make a stew. So basically, we're going to throw a little bit of everything: mental health issues, physical issues, all type of issues. And one of the reasons I made this episode is because sometimes, and we all guilty, and raise your hand, and I'm raising my hand, that we all find ourselves kind of guilty in a sense, or we get the same, like that feeling where it doesn't matter what you do. Despite that, in life, we have free will. There's always that saying that you are the author of your life. You're the author of your book. Your life is based on what you write and what you make out of it. But sometimes when we go through those little struggles in life, that things happen, sometimes we get that feeling like, wow, there's nothing that I could do to change my life. And again, I'm guilty of feeling that way. And when we feel that way, it leads us to think, and sometimes a lot of people, especially my people out there that are listening, maybe this might be new. If it's not, amen, let's go. And if it is, let's get it. But the fact that sometimes you feel that life was already predetermined for you. Now, I did my little research, and I always, it's interesting because a lot of these topics, a lot of these feelings that you feel, even at a young age, I didn't know that, that predeterminism, even at a young age, that it existed. Obviously you just feel that, hey, now obviously it could go in many branches, obviously, because there is determination. There is where you create life the way you create life. You the one that writes whatever it is, so it cannot be predetermined. And hey, listen, it's that feeling that if you feel that way, that there's nothing that you could do because you feel like life is already predetermined. Well, let's talk about it. Why we often feel that way, and where they come from. And again, I did my little research, And, we could go on to the, how can I say, the origins of how this happened and this phenomenon and this philosophy. But then I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of moving parts too, depending on, your religion, your tradition, your culture, what region, where you're from. Sometimes there are, let's say, cultures in life where there's no such thing as predetermined. No, whatever it is, life it is. It is what it is because you also have that free will that you could make things. And one of the things is that why do we feel that sometimes things are predetermined? And there's one thing that philosophy that I kind of piqued my interest in a sense is that in life, remember, when we live life at the moment, absolutely. But as we live longer, we also have to pass. And as we expect that tomorrow we'll wake up alive, then we have the future. So we in a current state of our mind, of that being, is that your past, your present, and your future, it's all moving at once. And sometimes your past determines how you feel currently present and how will you feel in the future. I like to say how you feel in the next second, how you feel tomorrow. And even though, and it's based on my experience, sometimes I start to feel, and there's events that took place where I say to myself, wow, the mood that I'm in now has a lot to do with what happened in the past. And in the mood and in the status that I'm in now, it has a lot to do with what happens in the future. Now, sometimes it don't necessarily have to be what happened in the past. It could be that what happened tomorrow will remind you and change that mood that happened in the past. Oh yeah. I think people right now probably listening and be like, yeah, am I watching a episode of, am I watching The Matrix, philosophy, for those who into that, kind of Matrix kind of thing going on where we feel like, hey, listen, we live in a simulated world. No, we're not. We just here. We listen and we learn from each other. And it's and obviously it's a little bit more of complex kind of topic to feel that our life is already predetermined. And what predetermines that? And sometimes we kind of conflate what predeterminism is versus what our life or what we do. But in terms of our habits, sometimes and a lot of times as human beings, we fall into this same pattern over and over and over. And sometimes we kind of start to think that that's basically what predetermined is. Oh, I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to pay a bill, I'm going to do it, and I say that's part of life. But sometimes we kind of think that our habits is what is already predetermined. And I say no, because sometimes we could break those habits. We could do something different, especially if you caught on into these bad habits. Let's say the drinking, let's say, whatever it is that you do. Sometimes we could break those habits. Now, obviously, there are those who believe that when you wake up or when you are born in this world, there's point A and point B and point C. And somewhere your life will take you to those points. And obviously, one other thing is that you have to think, why do we feel that way? Why do we feel that life is predetermined? What makes you feel that way? And that's the question that you want to ask yourself. If you out there listening, and I raised my hand and I said to myself, hey, listen, I'm one to say that happened to me. I've felt that way so many times. Sometimes there's like little things that happen, whether I'm watching something, whatever happens, that it triggers like, damn, is my life already predetermined? Is this what my life is? Now, when we, in a sense that we are down and out, and we are dealing with, mental issues, even physical issues, that we could say, damn, there's not much that I could do to change this. And we go into this kind of rabbit hole of why predeterminism comes into effect. Now, obviously, if you believe in free will, it would be kind of the opposite of what predeterminism would be. Because, again, predeterminism is basically like your life and things have already been determined for you. Hey, listen, David, you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to eat breakfast. Again, that's part of life. individual like me, I wake up early. I go to the gym. After the gym, I get a little something to replenish. Hey, listen. Now, that doesn't mean that that's what, predeterminism is. Predeterminism. Woo, yo, what a word. But in the aspect of things, of what happens in our life, why we feel that way, and there's philosophers from the past 200, 300 years ago, as we hit the age of enlightenment, and now more than ever, because we have this certain technology, we get into these platforms, and sometimes, and I'll give you an example. As I'm recording this podcast, and for those people that do content creating, whether, podcast, video, whatever it is that you do, stream, whatever it is that you do, one of the things that we always think about is the algorithm. See, now the algorithm, it's a little bit more another complex thing, but it's basically predetermined where this podcast will be versus other people that are talking about the same issue. Now, obviously, when you record and when you do content, you start at zero. But there's people that sometimes, depending on certain things, certain algorithms, then you're going to be elevated to a level that, I don't know, even though you're at zero now, you are in an audience where there's people that are going to click on their video, they're going to go to their YouTube, whatever, Apple Podcasts, whatever podcast platform, and boom, oh, look, let me listen. And again, that's that algorithm that kind of predetermines where you're going to be at and where. It's kind of similar to what a little bit of what predetermination would be. You're basically saying that you're going to be here because you were supposed to be here. And we go back and we trying to think why, for those people who felt that way, why do we feel that way? What triggers people to have that mindset? And obviously, when you have trauma, whether it's at early age, mid-age, whatever age, when you have a little bit of trauma, you kind of start to feel like, damn, what happened? Why is whatever happened in the past is already determined what's going to happen in the future? And it goes back to kind of like that feeling of predetermined. While there were philosophers out there thinking about it, and we could even start breaking down numbers in terms of math and how sometimes even math could tell the future, but it doesn't mean that it was already predetermined. It means that it's already calculated based on certain actions that you take. One of the saddest things that happens in this world, one of the things, and I'm over here in America, is that when, people like to hang out, have a good bar, let's go to the bar, and you have somebody who's driving. They get in the car, they drink, they get into a car accident. It couldn't be that it was predetermined. You see, that action in itself led to that. The chances of you having a few drinks versus you not having a drink and, how can I say, maximizing the chances of you having an accident was based on those actions. And the little stew that we do here is like we always say, you're going to put all these ingredients together, you stirring up that stew. You take that little spoon, you put it on the side, you whoop, taste. I'm like, it needs a little bit of something more. It needs a little bit of flavor. But remember, you already decided what you're going to put what's make that stew or stew. Only you would determine that. And this is not a me going against that philosophy. And I don't want to dismiss anybody that believes that. For those out there in the religious world, we always say, we put faith in God. For those in the enlightenment would say we put faith in the universe. Let the universe dictate. But a lot of times it's the actions that we take that kind of, in a sense, predetermine a bit, and it does move the dial to what you're going to do tomorrow. And people's like, oh, okay. Dang. And it's a natural thing because it's one of those situations, and, my understanding, and being raised a Christian, they always say, listen, God doesn't predetermine your life. Just the, other aspects of it, the plan that God has for you would be different. So they emphasize that your good work, your good deeds, they go far, they go somewhere. And sometimes what is that is we feel predetermined. Sometimes we sit here and we say, you know what? I started saving up money. Now I got $1,000. How do you feel now you have $1,000 and you're thinking about doing something? What you going to do? You're going to donate? You're going to buy clothes. You're going to go shopping, get that Gucci bag, all that bags, all that. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? The predetermined part would not be that money's going to go here. So you're already conjuring that it's going to go somewhere. Take that little vacation, little getaway, little escape. Yeah, come. Take that plane, take that car, take it somewhere. Maybe sometimes you ask yourself that question. Since we are the author of our life, as they say, perhaps it's you who's actually fueling what predeterminism is. Instead of something universally philosophy, all that good said, all that powerful, all that good stuff. Sometimes it is what it is. Perhaps it's a little bit something more of beyond the reach of what it is. But, once again, and if we go through, let's say, my situation, why I felt that way, because sometimes you start to kind of write as being the author of your life. You start to write chapter 1. You start to write chapter 1 while thinking about chapter 2. And when you're writing chapter 1, which should be the first chapter of your life, that was chapter 0. Because remember, to get to 1, you had to be thinking about something. You had to be thinking about a number. You had to kind of think of something. That's why some people like to make an argument. Why everything got to be a 1 or a 2? Why everything just could be a 0? Why everything has to be 1? I'm just saying. But once you start writing chapter 2, you're already predetermined what's going to be on chapter 3. If you really don't know what it is, what's going on, keep in mind is this. You're already calculating, just like I'm doing here, just like you're doing in right now listening, is that you're already calculating what you're going to do tomorrow. You're building that. You're building that, and it's like, okay. You ever got the feeling of deja vu? For those people, deja vu means that, hey, I feel like I've done this before. That deja vu, I got deja vu. Woo. Got a feeling of deja vu. DEJA /VU. I think it's a French word for it happened again. But I'm mistaken. For those out there, you could correct me. But it's that feeling of, damn, I've been there. Like, I feel like this happened before. And that's when you go to the rabbit hole. It was this predetermined. Now, sometimes that's where I say that this is where the past, the present, and the future, it's all at once. They're all moving in a way it's hard to describe, but you kind of feel like, wow. It's as simple as how you feel yesterday, how you feel today, how you feel tomorrow. You already woke up today. That means that you got to wake up the next day better. You're smarter today than you're smarter yesterday. Especially listening to this podcast. Let's go. And I didn't want to unpack people with a lot of crazy information. You start Aristotle. You start bringing all these philosophers from China, Italy, Puerto Rico, United States, Canada, South America, Mexico. Because sometimes I could grab someone who might not be exposed to philosophers, and I could ask the question. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you. They're probably going to be like, yo, who you? Who you? You asking me this question. But let me ask you a question. Do you believe life is predetermined? They're going to think about the question. Even if there's no such thing as a wrong answer, right? But they will give me an answer. Even if they're not exposed to philosophers. You see how this human connection is? That regardless of what we know, who we know, whatever it is, we still have a same certain feeling. And that's why I brought up this topic, because there's a lot of people in the world that might not be. This might be the first time that you ever heard of that philosophy, predetermination. If you're still kind of like, okay, what am I listening to? What? Yeah, take a little sip of your favorite drink, some waters, some wine, some cognac, some bourbon, some juice. Go, let's go, watch all that faith, and then it's like, what? Because sometimes we don't know that we are living in something that's already been spoken about for millennials of years ago, because as humans, we feel it. Now, predetermination, and I don't want to sound a little bit morbid, but the fact that it's this: we live, and we die. There's somebody here in the United States which said that there's a couple of things that are guaranteed in life: taxes and death. As long as you live in this country, you're always going to pay taxes to the government, and the way you go somewhere down the line, 6 feet under, whatever you want to be under. And that's just the sense of the most minimal way that we could think about why there are those who believe that life is already predetermined. Because it's something as simple as death. That's already predetermined for you. Now, again, that's something that's life. We cannot live forever. Maybe, in the future technology, hey, listen, freeze me up, put me in something I want to live, so that I could always talk about this podcast. But think about it. This podcast will be in the cloud forever and ever and ever, my understanding. So that means 100 years from now, it'll be somewhere, unless the cloud runs out of space and somebody decides, let me delete this, because this person right here, D-constructingTopics podcast, they got a revolution going on, and it's called predetermination. And that's what I'm trying to bring here, is that sometimes if you feel that way, maybe it's that time for one to do something different. If you don't have the means, or you don't know what to do that's going to make and change that, something subtle, and do it soon. But my folks, I would love to talk forever, because I love to educate people. Once again, this little philosophy, I just want to introduce people to the philosophy of what predeterminism is, and just give you a little summary, a little something of what it is, and why sometimes as humans we feel that way, while we go against, while we feel like, okay, if we got free will, then why is this happening? Perhaps there's a little bit of all. Perhaps there's no philosophy that's wrong, because there's a lot of going on. There's a lot of different type of philosophies that we could go on and on and on and on and on and on. And they all have similar things. It's all about the mind, our history, whatever it is, our philosophy, whatever it is that we have kind of, learned in life, what the elders, from some of the modern enlightenment to some of the ancient ones, some of the go back to the yesteryears of whatever it is, Egypt, the Greeks, the natives that lives in this land over here that is called United States. There's always something. And there's always something that we have to pass along line. And regardless of how you feel, if you feel and you're listening to this, you say, man, David, that's predeterminism, man. Oh, no way. Man, I determine what my life should be tomorrow. You ain't wrong. You're not wrong. If you're a little bit more limited to what it is, you're Christian, you're Muslim, Hindu, you believe in the Asian elders and natives, the Pequot Indians, Taino Indians in the Caribbean, the Mexico, there's still a percentage of those who still have the Aztec DNA. They even got that Aztec look, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you just came straight from the top of the pyramid, the Aztec or whatever pyramid is out there. There's something in you that you bring that it might not be wrong. But we're here listening and learning from each other as humans. As sadly as us old school people who still manage to believe in philosophy, because at the end of the day, guess what? Us humans, we building something crazy right now, and we already built it, and it's called AI. It's called artificial intelligence. And AI will predetermine how we are going to live life. If we haven't done so, believe it or not, trust me, humans, we are in a whirlwind, and good luck for those who are living 100 years from now. Because at least I'm waking up to tell you this. There's going to be a time where you're going to wake up when you have no other option but to listen to what that AI have formulated for you. And that's why we have to talk about these different philosophies now more than ever. Regardless of what you agree, regardless of your religions, your ethnicity, your culture. Well, I was getting tongue twisted there. Whatever it is, your background is, if you just got to put this all in one big stew, taste a little taste. Wow, voila, it tastes good. Sabe bueno, yo, papi, esto sabe bueno, este caldero, esta olla. It has the powers that be. My name is D-constructingTopics. Hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to like, share. Oh, let's make it happen, because together we can. Because my podcast is all about saving a mind, saving a life. I wouldn't be here without you. Much love to my Deconstructing Topic podcast family. Let's make it happen. Much love out there. Much love. I'm out. Peace.